Lucy.
Lucy.
Yeah, she doesn't give a fuck.
She doesn't care. Or she's like, they think I'm deaf and I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, because she's old. She's 13, so...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
13. Jesus.
Yeah, she's an old lady, so she's, like, real cranky. We're like an old married couple where I just, we hate each other, like, tremendously, but, like, that's my bitch. Like, we love, obviously...
Yeah.
Like, no one could come between me and my dog, but also fuck this bitch.
Right.
She's so annoying. Like, she's actually trying to, like, kill me.
She's cute, though.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that she knows she's cute.
That's how dogs are.
She'll, like, she's even been coming in the bathroom, which she normally doesn't do. And will, like, stand behind me. I won't even hear her come in. And then, like, I've almost fallen, like, 3 times.
Oh, my God. Same thing with Dahlia. She waits outside the bathroom for me. She has to be next to you. In the kitchen, she'll stand behind you, and you're not paying attention. You back up, you're done.
Yeah, it's so... Well, she's learned to not go in the kitchen while I'm cooking. And normally, like, she'll stay in, like, the bedroom area when I'm in the bathroom. But every once in a while, I'd be like, Jesus fucking Christ, like, I've knocked my head. It's been great. Anyways, hi, everyone. This is the How to Do Drugs podcast. I'm Aaliyah Janine. Brandon Trusso.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
I'm well. I'm just getting used to things getting back to a little bit of normal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's been kind of nice to see.
Yeah. The summer was slow and steady, and now the winter kind of seems more normal.
Yeah. We had that little bit of Omicron break, which was like, it's back again, and everyone got it, and everyone was
it's like the Backstreet
around.
Boys.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Again.
It was almost like, here we fucking go again.
I didn't even
Boys.
know about that, because I stopped watching the news after Donald Trump got out of office, because the news is boring now.
Terrible.
The news was very funny. I mean, devastating and terrifying, but also hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I think just like you, I'm sure everyone got caught up in it because we were all home.
Yeah,
When
there's nothing else to do.
I was like CNN every day. I was, comparing it with Fox News just to kind of like, and we were all writing. All comics were writing about that stuff. It got to be depressing.
It really is.
Social media got depressing. Like I share things to Facebook now still, but I don't go and check it like I used to because of the panic, because it's just got like there's people I hate now because of it.
So like people that you used to love, and then you see who they really are, or their online persona, and you're like, fuck this person. Yeah, I have a lot of like right winged relatives and stuff. Like my stepdad voted for Trump and stuff like that, and my mom, like, she's always been like a hippie, liberal, pot smoking kind of lady, and then she had posted some shit, and I'm like, I'm just gonna unfriend my mom right now.
It was such a stressful thing to deal with too. It's just like, because it's like you want, like, at some level, like when you even just put like any politics aside, it's like the humanity of it and like the compassion, like a lot of that with people just like went right out the window.
Yeah, like humanity in general, like just like caring for other people. Like I hate people.
Sure.
Like I hate people in general, but like I don't want a bunch of people to die, you know?
Right,
I mean,
of course.
I mean I kind of do, but also I do. You know what I mean? Like
I know exactly.
It's a catch-22.
I do.
With that. Now over my quarantine, I had a lot of fun because I did a tremendous amount of drugs. Because that's...
Good for you.
Yeah, lots of acid, lots of DMT.
By yourself, huh?
Sometimes, I did a lot with, Duckett. Me and Duckett are buddies again. But yeah, over quarantine, we were disgusting.
Hey. That's okay. Phil's the one who was like, do Aaliyah's podcast.
Yeah.
I was like, I'd love to. I would love to. It's like opposite ends of the spectrum, though, I think, right?
Yeah. So, because you're sober.
Yeah. 6.5 years. July 12th, 2015.
Nice.
Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning. When did you start using, and what did you start using?
Oh, geez. Well, I think it starts for everybody kind of, maybe I'm wrong, but it starts for everybody kind of the same way. It was just like, I was a bartender.
Okay.
So, my family owned a restaurant. I bartended in an industry. It was always kind of just like around, like, cocaine was always around. Like, drinking was just part of the job, and then when you're up late, you're using to kind of drink, and you're, you bounce back the next day, you're using stuff. And that was it went that way from like maybe like my early 20s, and I think the first thing I got addicted to was the lifestyle.
Yeah, especially bartending.
Right.
Yeah.
You're just up late. It's a different kind of, it's a different time schedule.
You make cash and you get a lot of it.
Right. Society's working 9 to 5, and you're like, hanging out, chilling during the day, and then you're working at night, So I got addicted to that first. And then, then I think I kind of just cruised through my 20s, and looking back, I don't really think it was like a problem. I think it was just like growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But when it became a problem to me is like when I got into the opiates.
Yeah.
That was the problem for me.
What made you try opiates?
Well, it was kind of an accident. Like when I was younger, my wisdom teeth were coming in.
Okay.
And I had a issue with them. I went to go see my dentist, and he's like, I was just getting a routine cleaning. He's like, your wisdom teeth are coming in, but you don't have to get them out. And I was like, good, because I was terrified of it. I was like, I'm gonna get my wisdom teeth out. That's scary. So like he prescribed. He's like, just take Motrin. It'll help. And so I remember just being like every other like couple months, one side would bother me for a few days because they were coming in.
Oh yeah, well they come in and then they go down and then they come in like wisdom teeth are brutal.
Such a pain. It was such a pain in the ass. Like it really was. It was so annoying. And I remember one night it was like just like really nagging at me. I had something to do in the morning. I couldn't sleep, and I remembered I had Lortabs, Vicodin, same fucking thing, in my drawer. I don't know why I kept them. You know what I'm saying?
I always keep like drugs like that. I never used them.
I had like a minor surgery, like like a year before, and I had those there, and I didn't abuse them. I used them as prescribed when I had them, but I was like, the Motrin wasn't working, so I was like, oh, let me take maybe a half of one of those. And I remember it was maybe like 3 a.m. when I took it. And I wasn't drinking or anything like that. It was just a normal night. And I took it, and I knocked my pain out. And I remember I went right to sleep. But when I woke up in the morning, I woke up with that euphoric feeling.
Oh, okay.
And I'll always remember that, like, that was the first thing. And, like, that didn't even, like, spark it for me, but I remember that kind of implanted the seed in my brain. And then what ended up happening after that is we went out one night, and my wisdom tooth was bothering me, and I ended up taking one before I went out, and I forgot I took it, and I was drinking, and I was like, whoa, this is awesome. And then it was just kind of like, there was years in between there. I think I was maybe like around like 22 when that happened. And then, that was around the time where my parents were getting a divorce. And I remember I started using it to cope. Hey, I just want to feel good. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that kind of started the romance cycle of it. Because that's what addiction is. It's romancing something. And then
always looking for that first high, that first euphoric
and you're teaching yourself and your brain, you're rewiring it to, instead of dealing with this emotion, I'm going to start doing this. And that's the shit I started doing. And then it just became like, your tolerance goes up.
Yeah.
And then you're hungover from drinking, and you're mixing. Then I started mixing with Coke and all that. And it was just like this downward spiral. Then I got into using, someone introduced oxys to me.
Ooh.
And which is basically the same thing, but just stronger.
Yeah.
And then when oxys became expensive, my buddy's like, hey, you should just try heroin. It's the same thing.
Really?
And I was like, oh, cool. All right. And it's like, but that, when I heard that in my mind, I was like, okay, like the addict part of me was like, yeah, it's cheaper. Just do it, And then the part of me that was like, you shouldn't be, you're fucking going down a bad path here.
Yeah. Like heroin. Heroin is always like, anytime you hear that, you're like, oh no, that's real bad.
And I tell people this all the time. I'm like, it's the same thing. You could, I never shot it. Thank God I never ended up going down that path. I would always start it. Not too much better. I mean, it still does the same thing too. But like, I would tell people, like, you can crush up a Vicodin, an Oxy, right, whether the amount or the strength, and do a line of that and do a line of heroin, and it is the same exact effect. You could shoot Oxys.
But they'll liquefy it or whatever.
People do that stuff, and it's just, it's the same thing. So I'm not saying, like, heroin has a stigma, but it's like, big pharma is
all those drugs are a derivative of heroin. Yeah. So which is always terrifying.
Right.
But also that's why I never liked downers. I've never been a downer type person. Every once in a while, like, I fuck with them and be like, oh yeah, I never really got into that. Even with the euphoric feeling, like when I got my surgery.
Right. That's what happens usually.
Those were the best. I was like, yo, this is fun. Like, I got it. And I was like, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't like feeling that kind of fucked up, if that makes sense. Like, it felt nice, but at the same time, I was like, I'd never I've always loved uppers. I love, like, hallucinogenics. I've always liked that kind of stuff. Like, just being laid out. I never
got into the hallucinogenics. We did mushrooms one time.
Yeah.
in the midst of all of this. I did mushrooms one time. I remember we took them, and like, of course, everyone has the same story. The one time they did mushrooms, I've done them a couple times. But the one time that sticks
that
out.
one time, yeah.
Yeah, we were like, oh, we're just gonna go chill at this house. It was a Halloween night, which was like not a good idea. And I remember I ate like 2 stems, and I'm just like, I don't really feel anything. And my boy said, we'll eat more. Mm-hmm. So it's like, all right, so I'll eat more. So I just ate the rest of the bag. And I don't remember, like, I think maybe it was probably like an hour that went by, but it felt like 5.
Yeah, time is different when you're shrooming.
Sitting in my buddy's house, and like, he's like, we had like two girls with us. I think it was his girlfriend, her friend, and a couple other people. And I'm like, where did Joe go? And I'm just like sitting there, like, and he's like, I hear him, but like, I'm like not comprehending what he's doing. And I hear all this noise in the kitchen, and he came out of the kitchen, and he had just like, I'm not joking, he had peanut butter smeared all over his chest. And he was carrying out a bag of Wonder Bread, and he's like, I'm making sandwiches in there. And I'm like, this is too crazy for me. Like, I guess I need harder drugs. Like, this is natural. Just give me something that's not going to make me feel this way.
So he was the sandwich? He was the peanut butter sandwich?
I think so.
Or where you take the bread and, like, wipe it off of him?
I don't know what he was doing. I just knew that there was peanut butter all over him, and I'm like, this is definitely not a situation I want to be involved in anymore. And I went home really fucked up because I ate so many. Yeah. And I remember laying in bed, and I had, like, pattern sheets. They were, like, plaid sheets. They're moving a little bit. Swirling, and I was like, I fucking hate this. I hate this. You know, I was just like, never. And like, that was, I wouldn't say it was like a bad trip. Yeah. But it was a trip enough to be like, I don't know.
No, not for you.
Just stick with the cocaine and the pills instead of this. This is just too natural.
Too natural? See, I've always, like, I'll see stuff when I take hallucinogenics, but, like, I've talked about it before, but, like, I'm phenomenal at driving, like, while on acid or mushrooms. It's, like, one of my favorite things to fucking do. Because, I'm hyper-focused.
That's so funny to me.
I can't drink and drive anymore. Like, I used to be able to, I was very, very good at that.
Oh, yeah, so was I.
Yeah, Buffalo, Wisconsin, very similar.
Very similar.
With that mentality. But, yeah, now, I could drink 3 beers and I'm fucking hammered. Which is insane. But also, like, I am a way cheaper date, and it is just better health-wise.
I can't believe you drive on acid. How would you? I'd be like, yo.
Yeah, I kind of learned how to drive on drugs.
I'd be like, stop. There's a fucking dragon in the middle of the street.
The only time I've ever seen anything like a hallucinogenic like that, like something that would pop out like that, a hallucination, was when I was on meth for 3 days.
Yeah,
because your brain, it's lacking sleep and stuff. So I've talked about it before, but I saw, I was driving and it was like just these giant dudes in like the old school black and white, like prison striped, outfits or whatever, like rolling a red ball towards me. And so I just pulled over. So with my friend Brenda, I'm like, you're going to have to drive now. And whenever I say I couldn't drive, people were like, oh, she is fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was the driver. I was always the driver. So she took over. And then, like, when she was driving, I look over, and then there's, like, a ginormous Energizer bunny just cruising along with us. And
you remember that shit, too.
Yeah. And then DMT, I saw some pretty cool shit, too. But, yeah, I never saw it. I don't know if it's because, like, I do have such, like, a controlling, like, type of personality that...
I think it's also, too, like, I mean, I had an experience like that with ecstasy, because I did a lot of ecstasy when I was younger.
Was great,
like, that was, like, I forget, we talked about that. Ecstasy was my first, like...
Real
step
drug?
Into the drug world.
Were you still a kid when you did that?
Yeah, like 19, 20.
Okay. So you never did anything, like, when you were in high school? Try anything?
No, I tried ecstasy in high school.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was my first step into the hard drug world. But I remember back then, I gave up back then because, I got scared because of, they were like, it can burn holes in your brain and all that.
It also makes you real depressed afterwards because all your serotonin.
Crashing.
Yeah.
But, like, I was drinking and stuff back then. I was just being a typical, like, rebellious teenager, and, like I said, like, or back then, like, I was using with friends and stuff, I didn't want to be home. Like, my parents were going through it, and that's kind of the reason why I started to, like, venture off and do my own thing. My sister was home a lot. I was like, I don't want to deal with this shit. Yeah. I'm going to do my own thing. But, like, yeah, I mean, I should be in jail. Like, I should have been in jail over and over again when I was younger. I would drive fucked up all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I learned how to drive, was fucked up. Like, going to Chicago's, the multiple Chicagos. Going to raves in Chicago.
Oh, yeah. Raves.
Just driving back and forth. Have you ever been a raver? Were you a raver?
I worked in a club back in the day, ironically called Club E.
I love it.
Like, they weren't hiding anything,
yeah.
right? Like, it was a nightclub, loud music, like, you couldn't hear everything was served in a plastic cup. You wouldn't make any fucking money because everyone was drinking water and orange juice.
Yeah, and just being cheap.
And everyone was just fucking on 9 pills of E, and, like, you know, it was just, like, and I worked in that atmosphere for a couple of years, and I just, like, that whole, like, thing turned me off to that drug.
That makes sense, yeah, because you see a bunch of people...
Seeing people fucked up. I mean, now, like, looking back, like, even when I see people today being sober for 6.5 years, I see people fucked up, and it's, like, always reminds me, takes you back to that time you were like that.
And be like, oh, God, did I look like that? Was I that big of a disaster?
I see people now, like, leaving, like, down here and, like, getting in cars and driving, and I'm like, holy shit, like, what are you doing? And, like, I'm like, I can't throw stones in a glass house. Like, I remember one time I was with my buddy. My family owns a restaurant. My uncle owns a restaurant in Buffalo, and I was the manager of it. And I remember, like, we had a routine. Like, we would leave. I'll meet you at this bar. Let's go grab an 8-ball. Let's hang out. You know what I mean? And then we'll see where the night takes us. Yeah. My uncle was calling me. He's like, you left the fucking door open. The alarm's going off. You have to go back to the restaurant. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, like, so the chef of our restaurant and myself, like, we get in my car, and I had, like, it was, like, the first time I had, like, a really nice car. I had, like, a Cadillac CTS. Nice. And I hop in the car, and he's in the front seat, and he's got the CD case on his leg.
Oh, my God, yes.
He dumps the whole gram out on the CD case, and he's chopping it up, and I'm going, like, we want to get to the next place, and it's not that far. It's maybe, like, I don't know, like a mile away. Yeah. And I'm flying down the side street. I'm going like 85 miles an hour, 35, like just to get there and get the alarm turned off and like whatever. And he's like chopping up the coke and whatever, and the lights go on behind us. Oh. And I was like, I just turned. I was like, yo, you gotta fucking do all that right now. Just do it all. And he takes a seat, snorts it all. I'm fumbling with trying to find my ID, like whatever. The cop comes up. I like roll down the window, and I'm like, officer, and he cuts me off. He rips my ID out of my hand, just fucking throws it on the ground, and he's like, Trusso, what the fuck do you think you're doing? And I'm like, and I knew the cop. Oh, God. And I'm like, I'm sorry, we're just going back. He's like, I don't give a fuck. He's like, you're going 85 miles an hour in a 35 mile an hour. He's like, are you fucking crazy? He's like, if I didn't know your uncle, you'd be in fucking jail right now. And he like leaves, and I'm like sitting there, and I'm like just staring at the street. And
heart pounding.
My heart's pounding, and I turn to my buddy, and he like is holding this. No, like. Anybody that doesn't even know what cocaine is would knew what this guy was doing cocaine. He just had it all over his face. He's holding the CD case, and he's like, I am so fucked up right now. Right? And all I could say at the moment, I was like, well, you owe me half still. You still owe me half for that fucking 8-ball.
That reminds me of the movie Super Troopers. Have you ever seen that? Yeah. Where the kid's in the back, and he's like, you ate about like a... Yeah. Ate the shrooms and like a diamond. He's like, hell yeah. He's like, so I'm gonna need that buck 35.
Because that's the only thing I thought of. Like, not like, hey, I should probably maybe get my friend to the hospital or whatever. But I was like, yeah, I mean, like, we just spent a lot of money on that, and you did it all, and everything's fine. Like,
right, and we're fine. That's his heart had to be.
He was good. I think we ended up going. If I remember correctly, we ended up going somewhere else, and someone gave him a half a Xanax, which is totally smart, self-medicating.
Yeah. Well, if you get too high, you need a little bit of a downer.
Yeah. So, but that's where I learned that. I learned to do that because that was my main issue towards the end. Was like I was like I had a really good job, you know, towards like in the midst of my addiction, like, you know, my early 30s, really good job. I was working for Porsche, the car company. Nice. And I had to be there every morning, but I was like, my routine in the morning, I was waking up, I would do 2 lines of Coke, and I would do a line of Oxy. Oh. And that would be my morning. Like, that was my morning coffee. I mean, I was like, wasn't that expensive? I was like, yeah, but I was making, like, so much money.
Yeah, when you're making that much money.
And it was, I would go to work, I would be there, I would literally take, like, $100,000 cars, like, during the middle of the day if my dealer had pills and go pick it up. In the middle of the hood, he said to me one time, he's like, you need to stop fucking bringing
these cars. You're bringing attention
like,
to
them. Are you fucking crazy? I'm like, yeah, I think so. And that stuff, you just don't care.
You really don't.
You don't care. I'd have people waiting for me, like, hey, I'm here, I got, like, at the dealership, like, waiting for you. And I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm just down in the city picking up fucking Oxycontin.
I'll be back. Do you want one?
I got away with that for the first couple of years, and then, like, you know, I I had to clean. I knew I had to clean up. I knew I had to. Like, I had to. My younger sister, who I'm like really close with, she was a licensed mental health counselor. She's like, you need to get your shit together.
Oh, so she saw the signs. Did your family know at all that you were using?
Well, I got into some trouble with debt to drug dealers. I was like maybe like.
You sound like my dad.
Yeah, it was like maybe like $10,000 or $15,000 in debt or something.
That's a lot of drugs, Brandon.
I know. Well, what I'd be able to do is like I had like credit going. Like I'd be like able to get some and like, yo, I'll get you back. And I had that going with like 3 different people, and they knew I made good.
Yeah.
They knew, you know what I'm saying.
And you're a regular customer.
And a regular customer, and it got to the point where I was like, I can't. My back was against the wall. Plus, I wanted to stop.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, like you actually have to want to stop. Like you can't have other people telling you should stop and be like, yeah. Like you actually have to want to.
So the first time I like made like that, well, I got arrested.
Oh.
I got arrested.
Did you have drugs on you?
Yeah, I had 50 pills of oxys
that weren't yours.
And I'll tell you right now, those cops that arrested me, looking back, saved my life. Because I picked up my dealer. He's like, yo, I have to go to the hospital because someone he knew's daughter was in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And he's like, can you drop me off there? So I dropped him off. As soon as I dropped him off, like he's stepping out of the car, they pull us over. And the guy's like, they come right to the car. He's like, we smell weed.
Oh, I've had that.
They had that one. And I'm like, oh, we don't have any weed on us. He's like, where are you going? I was like, I'm dropping my friend off at the hospital. He's like, what's your friend's last name? And I was like, in my head, I'm like, I don't know his fucking last name.
Have I ever known anybody drug dealer's last name?
I don't know his last name.
Yeah.
I didn't know it. And then I didn't want to even, if I did, I wouldn't have even said it. You know what I'm saying? Because I just knew I was fucked. So like, they're talking to him, and I see that they let him go. Okay. So then the other cop comes over to me, and he's like, and he didn't say anything about me or anything like that. I know that he was just saying I'm going to the hospital, like, whatever. So he was asking me, like, what are you doing down here? He's like, we have to do a search, all this stuff. He's like, do you consent to a search? And in my head, I was like, at first I was like, why do you have to search me? He's like, we know you have shit on you, dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're like pushing. Yeah. And I knew I didn't have... Do you think
it was because they knew who the dealer was?
I think that's what it was, but I knew I didn't have... I thought I didn't have anything on me, and when they searched me, they found I had one in my pocket. One pill from, like, another time in my pocket. That gave them consent to search the car.
To search... Well, not really, I don't think... Because I'm trying to remember,
the front seat had...
The column.
When I got out, they had it. They fell out of like my jacket pocket, so they were in like a paper towel, and they were all like on the seat. So they send me to jail, right? And this was like my second offense, so I couldn't really like get any. I couldn't get out. Like I had a tough time like getting out. Like I had that was fun. So I was there for the whole weekend because that was a Friday.
Oh yeah, no, you're fucked. Then you're in there for the whole weekend.
I was there for the whole weekend, and then when I got out, I had to go get my car from the impound. And luckily, this is what these guys did. I picked up my car from the impound. Mm-hmm. They took those pills and they put them in my console, and they only charged me for 2. Because I would have been gone for a long time.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, especially in a fucking paper towel.
But they, because when I was in the cop car with them, they were asking me, hey, do you have, I remember they were like, do you have a problem? And so on and so forth. I mean, because, I was from the suburbs. You know what I'm saying? I was in the city. Who knows? You never know who knows who. Buffalo's a small town. Mm-hmm. So I remember, when I went to court for all that stuff and I was court ordered in rehab and shit like that, like, that was very, like, I remember running into that cop.
Oh, again?
And he came because he came to the court dates.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, are you going into the program?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am," but I didn't take it seriously for the first year.
Yeah,
I fucking up. I fucked up so much. I remember I had a dirty urine one time, and my counselor was like, "Well, Brandon, you tested positive for cocaine." And
you're like, "Yeah, I did."
And I go, "But I'm not here for cocaine." And she goes, "Say that again. Say that again." She's like, I remember that was like around that was around the holidays.
That's a classic line. But I'm not here
but I'm not here for cocaine.
Typical addict.
Yeah, typical, right? And she was like, I can send you to an inpatient rehab because I was doing outpatient at first.
Oh, okay.
She's like, I can send you to inpatient right now. You'd miss the holiday. She's like, are you gonna fucking turn your shit around? Mm-hmm. And I took it seriously then for a while. Like I was like, I have to because like when somebody
jail money. Reality
starts to set in, and then I took it seriously for a while, and then I got I had like I think 9 months of sobriety under my belt at that point. Got involved in a relationship with a great person, and then I was still drinking socially though.
Okay.
And we just ended up, I think we had an argument one time. This is like fast forward like a year. We got in an argument one time. We were both hungover, nothing major, just like where she was like, she left in the middle of the night, like, and I was like cleaning. I was doing some cleaning, and I remember I was cleaning out my closet, and I found a pill in one of my old jackets.
Oh, dun dun.
And exactly, and I was like,
You're sad.
I just took it.
Yeah.
I just took it.
Didn't even think about it.
And then what ends up happening is I took it, and I was like, in your mind, you're like, it's like almost like that little voice is like, no one knows.
Yeah.
Because you think, like, are they going to find out? Like, no one knows.
Yeah.
And then it just starts to fester, and I was like, and within like months, I was like back into it. And it's scarier when everybody knew you were sober and you're trying to hide it.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like I was like, okay, I gotta get more, and I gotta like hide the money that I'm using, so I gotta steal money so no one can see that it's coming from my account. You know what I mean? Because my father was watching my account because you lose trust from everybody.
Yeah.
So that happened, and then that was more, and she knew. Like, I think it was maybe like 6 months down the road, she was like, I know you're fucking using. I know you are, and if you don't get help, I'm gone. And the hardest thing to admit is a relapse.
Yeah.
That was the hardest
thing. Because you feel like a failure.
Yeah.
And then,
you let everybody down,
But you let yourself down more, too. But you don't realize that until you get sober again.
I had a great counselor, though. I had a great therapist, I should say, that I've seen. I still see him till this day. Like, I'll call him every once in a while when I'm going through some shit. And he was like, hey, he's like, you have 80% of sobriety is relapse. Like 80% is, so it's part of it, just as long as you bounce back and so on and so forth. And I remember going to see him, and he's like, well, I can prescribe you something that's going to help you with the withdrawal symptoms. He's like, because they're not going to be good. Yeah. And I was like, I don't want it.
Yeah, it's just cold turkey.
I was so done taking things, And I didn't have... I think it took the first 3 weeks. That was awful. Yeah. Just physically awful. Like I didn't sleep.
You get physically ill.
Didn't sleep. I went to the gym every single day though.
That probably helped a little bit, I would think.
Yeah, it did. But I couldn't sleep at night. Yeah. That was the worst. And like mental cloud, mental fog. That was awful. And I think I would say people were like, well, how long did it take you to like feel normal? I would say probably about like 3 months of like nothing in your system.
Before you were like 100% like back to normal, like just totally sober. That was one of the other reasons why I never got into downers too, is because my dad was big, like he liked crack and he liked heroin. And so I would see him when he come down from like coke or, the uppers compared to when he would come down, off of the downers. Because sometimes he would stop using just so he could clean out his system, so when he used again, he could actually get high type of, like, he's one of those type of addicts. Wow. So, like, the withdrawals from the heroin were always way more gnarly than the ones from, like, cocaine or even crack.
Yeah.
And it's just like, ew.
I think and that's the thing you realize, too, like, when, like, it's not partying anymore.
Yeah.
Like, when you're, like, using by yourself. Like,
then
that's what I did. There was a lot of that. I OD'd once.
By yourself?
Well, luckily I had a roommate at the time, and he was he sold on the side and shit. And I remember like we were just partying during the day, kind of thing. It was like a Saturday, and he was like out with his girlfriend, and I was home, and like my favorite thing to do is just get fucked up and play video games. And like I'm doing lines of coke, I'm doing fucking oxys, and I just remember like I'm like, oh my, like I had that like one moment where I'm like, I just did too much.
Oh, okay.
And my heart started racing.
Did that little Papatel or whatever they're called.
Heart started racing, and I remember I was doing coke, I was doing oxy, I was doing all this stuff, so I was like fucked up, and I couldn't keep my eyes open. I kept like nodding off, and I was like, you have to stay awake, and then the next thing I remember, I was in an ambulance.
Oh no! Well, at least your roommate called.
He was home. He came home during the midst of it.
Oh, and saw.
Yeah, he called. Yeah. So they called the ambulance, and then I was in there. I was in the hospital for like a day or 2 days.
Oh my God. I never had that happen where I've had to go to the hospital, but I used to carry around, like I carried around a bullet that had cocaine and a little bit of meth in it, and then I had another bullet that had crushed up Klonopin.
Oh shit.
And that my dad would give me. So if I got too jacked, I would do a little bit of Klonopin, but I never like did like full lines. Not on purpose, at least. The first couple times I ever tried heroin, it's because I thought it was cocaine. And I was always super jacked from cocaine doing a line of heroin. I was like, whee!
I did that to my buddy on accident once. I wish he was here to tell the story because he still fucking gives it to me about it. Because I did the same thing.
That's terrifying.
I had a bag of Coke that everybody would do it. We would all do it, and then I had my own bag that I crushed up a pill or heroin, mixed it with the Coke, and it was a late house party at my house. Like there's like 6 people over there after we're already bartended all night at home, and he's like, "Hey, do you got anything? Like whatever." I was like, "Yeah, I'll go grab you some." And I went and I grabbed the wrong bag.
Oh.
And I gave him some, and I remember him sitting there, like he's talking. He's like, "What did you give me?" And I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "Nah, you're fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're good." I'm like, "Just roll with it, man. Like, you're gonna be fine." And then I think he was like scared because he like didn't know how what I gave him.
Yeah.
And then I think like the next day I was like, talked to him. I was like, "Dude, I could have killed you." You know?
Yeah, especially
sorry.
I was always worried about people like having seizures or like I've seen a bunch of people like fish out off of just doing fucking like nitrous, at raves and stuff like that, which is always.
We did those too.
Whippets are so fun.
God,
I love whippets.
Oh my God, yeah, we used to do those. I remember we did those driving one time.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So stupid.
Which is really stupid. That's
so
actually...
dumb. Don't do that.
I don't recommend, that's one thing that I would not try. Because I did try it and I was like, no, probably not a good idea to do this while driving. No. Especially like if you have like one of those like whipped cream canister kind of things. We just call it the cracker. Yeah. We broke mine. Well, it's not, but like the little pin that is in it, like we wore it down on it.
Using it so much?
Yeah, this past, the last time I used it was on New Year's. And we were like, what's the matter with this? And it's like, oh, the pin is down. I still have like some canisters. I think I have like 10 canisters left, but I threw away the cracker. I'm like, I am too old to be doing whippets.
Oh my God.
God damn it.
But, I mean, yeah, I can't, I must have been 16 years old.
Oh, when he first, I was
17?
pretty young when we tried that.
That's so crazy. About
like we would literally just like go to the store. Well, we tried like whipped cream, but we also would get like Glade air freshener, like the vanilla or cinnamon, and then we put a washcloth over it so we wouldn't get the stuff in our mouth. And then we would do
I remember it. That way. That's the crazy thing. Like, so you're describing all of that, right?
Yeah.
Like how like you would use it, and that's how it is for an addict.
Yeah.
Like you romance the process.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone always says, like you see needles, you see spoons, you see all that stuff. Like even if you're not shooting things up, like I mean, I had like my bags of whatever I had. I had them like neatly put. It's almost like an OCD type of thing, because like and when it
becomes a part of your routine.
Right. That actually helps you. Like when you become sober, they kind of gear you towards like that type of like planning. Like okay, so if you're gonna be sober, like what's your plan for your day? Like what are you gonna do when you wake up? What are you going to do midday? What are you going to do during downtime? And you start to like, I mean, there's definitely different unhealthy levels of that.
Oh, yeah,
and
for sure.
The good thing about me is like, I never really took it to that extreme. Like there's things that everybody does that are fucking OCD. You know what I'm saying? I think everybody has some sort of, whether it be messy, clean, whatever it is. So like I realize like okay, like I used to romance like this. Now I had to start romancing like healthy things.
Yeah, like have a regular schedule at the gym kind of thing.
Yeah.
I remember
eating, cooking. Same idea.
Like I definitely I cook more of my own meals.
Right.
Yeah, because after quarantine, like during quarantine, I felt like I was in my 20s again. Where I was like in my 20s, I used a shitload, and then I'm like, this is too much. So I'm like, I need to get back to the healthy where I'm cooking my own meals, where I can only have like 1 or 2 drinks or no drinks when I go out, which is I was able to do before quarantine.
Yeah, quarantine wasn't really like I know a lot of people
Yeah.
that I lost a friend that relapsed during quarantine because I saw how tough it could be.
Yeah.
Luckily for me, like, I have a roommate that's great. You know what I mean? Like, he's
Mm-hmm.
a comic, so we did some creative things.
Nice.
With video podcasting and stuff like that. So that helped out. But like, it was a dangerous. I mean, my family was worried. They're like, "Yo, like, shit.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?"
Yeah.
You know, because my sister's like, "I'm drinking fucking 2 bottles of wine." What are you doing? You know what I mean? And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just cooking and running." And she's like, "All right, well, how fucking long are you going to be doing that for?"
Yeah,
you know?
like how long is that gonna last?
But I was okay. Like I think that it was a good. I mean, kind of. Using the term was like a perfect storm for me, actually, because that's like I moved here. I mean, you remember when I moved here? Like that was like early 2019. Like COVID happened about 8 months after I got here.
Yeah, so you weren't even here then.
So like I bought a bike. I was able to like learn the city.
Oh, that's
rode
great.
around with like no traffic.
Yeah,
now
that's actually probably the best way. Yeah, now it's terrifying.
Now it's terrifying to ride your bike. But so I kind of like benefited off that a little bit. But like I could see like if it happened again. Like that lockdown,
you'd be a little scared.
I'd be like, yeah, like this is like, because I mean, like closing gyms and stuff like that. That was like my livelihood. You know what I mean? Like, I have to work out. I have to do something. I have to.
Is that one of the things? Because I know, because an addict's brain, like it never stops being an addict's brain.
True.
Like a lot of times, some people just transfer
the
one addiction for another. Like
sneakers for me.
Sneakers. So shopping, because shopping's actually technically an addiction. Shopping and gambling.
I saw it at one point. Maybe Phil will probably tell you about this because every time he sees me, he's like, every time I see you, you have a new fucking pair of sneakers. And he's kind of right in a way because it's a little bit of it's my thing. Like I would have to say it's my thing, and like I definitely am self-aware to when things go like when that behavior goes into things.
Okay.
So maybe with all my therapy and all of the work that I've done in my life. My sober life, I see sometimes when it's like, I'm like, okay, like, just chill the fuck out. Like, I'll see in my mind where I'm like, okay, well, like, I need a color to match this pair of pants I have. And I'm like, all right, just chill the fuck out. Like, I don't have to just, like, stop. But, you know,
you can stop yourself with the shopping. Like,
yeah,
that's
I could stop myself with the
control.
shopping. The drugs were different because it was like it was covering up stuff.
Covering up, like, feelings you didn't want to deal with.
Exactly. And I've dealt with it, like, I had a relationship in 2018. That was the first relationship I ever had sober.
Okay. Oh, how was that?
Fucking awful.
It was horrible.
It was toxic. It was bad. It was, it was. I didn't know how to. You don't realize that you're almost like being sober is like almost like a rebirth. You know what I mean? Like you're like an infant in a grown person's body and like dealing with like feelings and emotions and shit like that. Like. Before I'd be like, I get in an argument, you're like, I'm just gonna get fucked up, and then let things calm down, and that's it,
Yeah.
But no, when you're sober, you're like, we have to fix this now.
Right now, this toxic relation.
And then being with someone that really, it's looking back, it's like harder on them too because they don't know.
Yeah.
They're like, am I gonna be responsible for this person relapsing?
Where was the person sober? Was she sober? No. Oh.
No.
Have you? Is that weird dating? Like, do you think you could date someone who's not sober?
I could date somebody that like drinks. Like drinking doesn't bother me. Like that like everyone's like, oh, you're a comic and you're always around alcohol. You're always around people using drugs. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm like, I've done enough work in my life where it's like not really like.
A thing like you don't have FOMO like if you're missing
exactly
out, especially if you see how retarded most of us
right I was something like if I'm in a relapse it's not gonna be in this fucking place with a fucking Miller Lite, like, you know what I mean, like it's gonna be way cooler,
right
it's gonna be a way cooler story
like in
than
Belize on a boat or something.
Yeah, exactly. I'll do it the right way. But no, she was young. She was, I was 37, she was 24, 25.
Okay.
And, like, I mean, at the time, like, I think, it was really...
She was hot.
Yeah, of course. At the time, I was putting a lot on her because it's like, you should understand and all this stuff. And it's like, looking back, I'm like, yo...
Her brain wasn't even fully developed.
I was 24, 25 at one point. Like, I did the same shit to the person I was dating at that age, you know what I'm saying? So, like, the healing process and everything allows you to like forgive and like understand those things. But like at this day, I mean, when you get older, you know what you want. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to. I would never date somebody that uses drugs.
What about weed?
Marijuana doesn't bother me. Yeah, marijuana. I actually like when people are stoned around me. I love it.
Because they're just chill.
Makes me feel like I'm on I try and get on their level, like, humor-wise.
Got it, yeah.
You
just,
know,
like, that stupid, silly stuff. Because when I'm stoned, like, I laugh at the dumbest things.
Right.
Just the stupidest things.
Like, I do, everyone's like, well, do you ever think you could smoke weed again? And I was like, no, I just don't go down that path because the romancing thing of it.
Yeah,
like, if I started romancing this and thinking, like, oh, now every time I get on stage, I gotta be high. Or now every time I write, I have to be high.
It's called romancing the stone.
Yes. Exactly. Look at that. We just came up with something amazing.
It's a great movie, too.
It is a good movie. But I just don't think I would go down that path.
Yeah, that is a slippery slope. Well, I think in California they call it, like, California sobers, where they don't drink, but then they smoke weed.
Right. Yeah, I've heard it.
Like Vegas sobers, they just do meth, they don't drink.
But people drinking doesn't bother me. I understand not everyone's an addict.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
People know how to control themselves.
I understand people use drugs recreationally. I've seen friends of mine that are able to use recreationally. That's just not me.
Yeah.
But in a relationship, like, I don't know. I just don't want to be with someone that uses drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not something that I want. Like, if it's something that was, like, a, part of their past or something, it's none of my business.
Yeah.
But, like a regular, like, oh, I got to go out and get fucked up and do blow. Like, that's just not for me.
No, that makes sense. And it's also, like, that could be bad for you and your sobriety. Like, I always thought, like, I wanted to make a dating app called Bender so you could find people who use the same drugs as you. Because I made the mistake when I really liked cocaine of dating someone who really liked ketamine.
Right.
And that was just a bad relationship.
That sounds like a bad mix.
Super bad mix. But we should come up with a sober dating. Is there a sober dating app?
Probably. I'm not a big dating app guy.
I'm too famous. No, I can't. Like, literally, like, I'd be on a week and someone would recognize me.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
It's super weird. I did go on a date, though, once. I went on my first online, like, I think it was... it wasn't Tinder. Hinge, maybe?
Yeah,
one of them. Or no, OkCupid.
Cadillac of the apps.
Yeah, it was OkCupid, actually. It was a nice guy. Like, we got along great. Like, I could see us being buddies. You know what I mean? And I was just like... not attractive. Yeah, I can't date people off of apps.
I did them for a while. And then it got to a point where, I don't know, like, I think when I did them, it was always at, like, where I was, like, at the beginning of, like, being single, and I'm like, all right, like, I maybe likes everybody. Like, you need validation for a void.
A little bit of a rebound
type
thing.
Stuff, and I'm not taking it seriously, and women have it much harder on dating apps than men. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're, as far as, like, even, like, fear factor of, like, meeting somebody you don't know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I sometimes...
Like, I carry knives when I'm not even meeting people.
Yeah. In Buffalo, it's different, because it's a small town, people, there's always, like,
someone knows somebody.
6 degrees of separation. In Buffalo, it's 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah, like, we know you, and, like, I was doing comedy there, so, like, kind of a lot of people knew of me, too. But, like, when you come here, it's, like, you don't know somebody, like, if you're living in Astoria in Queens, like, where I live, and then you want to meet somebody that lives in, like, Upper East Side, like, they're like, well, I don't know who you are.
It's
like,
literally light years away.
Yeah, it's crazy. Dating outside your borough is, like, so tough.
I don't think I could.
It's so tough.
It really is. Like, even when I lived in Brooklyn, like, with comedy, like, I'm hardly, unless I'm getting paid to, like, go out to Brooklyn, like, I don't go. Even when I lived in Brooklyn, though, I hardly did anything in Brooklyn. But yeah, even dating someone, like, on the Lower East Side, I'm like, that's a ways away.
I know. Well, since I've been doing comedy, like, full time, like, down in when I'm in the Village, like, that's almost like my second home.
Yeah.
So I've opened myself up to meeting, because I could, like, kill 2 birds with one stone. If I have a show, I'll meet early or whatever. But I don't know. The dating apps is just, like, the lowest form of communication.
Well, all of, like, social media in general. Like, you miss context. You miss, like, I need, like, those, like, micro expressions, because I read all that stuff. Body, like, I'm a big person on that. Like, I have to have that tone of voice.
Yep.
Like that's why a lot of the
sarcasm.
Yeah.
Everyone expects to be blown off their feet with the first line of, like, introduction.
It's so...
I got to a point where, like, I was like, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Because I just don't want...
I'm just like, Google me.
To come up with something fucking new. Like, you know what I mean? I know people are going to be watching this and be like, wow, what a fucking asshole. But it gets to be exhausting. And
I can imagine.
It happened more during quarantine.
Oh, well, yeah, because everyone's like, because everyone's horny, and they all want to meet up with people, but they're like... like before they're just worried about like STDs and now like STDs and fucking COVID.
Yeah, right. I mean, everyone's just sitting in their beds fingering themselves. It was like, yeah, we gotta do something. Let's get the bullshit lines out of the way and get to the nudes. You know what I mean? That's kind of what everyone was doing.
Yeah, like everyone. Yeah, a lot of boundaries were taken down.
It was a good time for solicited dick pics. Like it was the peak time for solicited dick pics.
I actually started talking to a dude who had a girlfriend. I didn't even care. I'm like, fuck it. This is just who I'm going to be. I'm like, when quarantine's over, this will end. Like, year and a half later, finally, we stopped.
It was a funny time because it's like, I even still, like, stayed friends with a lot of those people that I met.
Yeah.
Like, you know, online, like, through dating apps and stuff like that. And it's like, you see how they've progressed in their dating life. And, like, it's funny to me.
Some people are married now.
It's like, hey, remember what we used to do? Like, we had, like, a routine of Snapchat sex. Like, every fucking morning, like, when we would wake up.
Be like, here you go.
Snapped. Like, our life is really fucking weird right now. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, especially, well, Snapchat, too. Just using Snapchat. Well, because the pictures disappear, which I respect, and I like that.
Yeah.
I don't really, like, obviously, because I'm naked online all over the place, so it's like, and I only send, like, I don't send, like, recycled pictures to dudes, so if I send one picture to one dude and somehow it ends up somewhere, I know who
did
I
it.
know who posted it,
True.
kind of thing. So I'm smart with that, motherfuckers.
Don't fuck around.
Some people like to it's like the same thing with like exercising and stuff with the addiction. Some people will use sex and stuff like that as a clutch, or dating in general, just because everyone loves like the butterflies and stuff in the beginning of when you first. Like that's the best part about like meeting someone new, and some people want that feeling over and over again.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. I mean, like there's tons of things. I mean, dating sober is hard.
Yeah,
I've realized that. Like, I mean, I think I don't want to say like. Because you should put your sobriety on a pedestal, like, because if you don't have it, you don't have anything.
Yeah.
You know? But, like, I think,
you should also be proud of it.
Sure.
Yeah,
of course. I think, but looking back, like, maybe, like, 2 or 3 years in, maybe this is kind of just in coordination with the situation I was in with the girl I dated at the time, but, like, it was, like, maybe, it became, like, the elephant in the room all the time.
God.
You know? Instead of now, it's like, hey, like, when I meet somebody now, and I don't want to say I don't care because, like, I'm, like, some cocky asshole. That's not what I mean. But, like, I don't care about, like, being, you know, when I'm telling somebody, like, hey, by the way, I don't drink or stuff. Like, if you don't, you either don't mind or it's a problem, like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's something where it's, like, I'll tell you early. You know what I mean? Because you have to tell them early, because if you go on a first date with somebody and like, oh, why aren't you drinking? And then you're like, oh, I don't drink. And they're like, oh, why? Is it like because you do like a dry January or whatever?
Yeah,
and I'm like, no, I don't, because I used to be addicted to heroin and cocaine. And it's like, what the fuck did you make me come here for? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people that aren't into it.
Dating, that's one of the things that I find most difficult about dating, is because, like, I want to be honest and upfront about everything, but at the same time, like, you have to have boundaries. And but, like, especially with us, like, just being online with our jobs, but me, especially with the porn stuff, like, they could see so much, and it's like, do I just go ahead and just tell them everything right up front, or do I let, like, you do it off, because you don't want to be, like, maybe, you know, like, a month in, and all of a sudden be like, oh, well, you never told me that. It's like,
you lied to me.
It'd be like, no, I didn't lie to you. I just didn't. I'm trying to figure out the right time to when to tell you something like this. And also, that's why I like dating people who already know I've done porn and don't give a shit. It's a little bit easier.
And then I get into the whole, like, if it's meant to be, they'll understand.
Oh, you're one. Oh, that's so sweet.
But then 10 minutes later, I'm like, fuck that.
Right? Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, I get that way sometimes. Like, you think about situations, like, you know, if it's a situation that's meant for you kind of thing, like, you know, like the spirit, everyone's got some sort of spiritual side. You'll think, like, oh, you know, if it's meant to be, like, if things are going to happen the way that they're going to happen, then all that stuff will work itself out.
Yeah, like, you can't force or control other people or situations to how you want them, even though I try.
Plus, if someone doesn't want to get to know you beyond your past, fuck them.
Then they're probably not
shouldn't be in your life anyways, right?
Which is something
But we all want certain things, and it's annoying when, like, you want something that
especially people, like, want people,
Yeah.
that's my toxic trait, is wanting people that I shouldn't want.
Yeah.
It's because I like that challenge.
Yeah, everyone likes, like, fucking red flag.
Yeah,
right?
literally.
Like,
Did you see my new tattoo?
Oh, shit, I love that.
Yeah, so
I should get that, too.
So when I wave, I just could wave my red flag.
Yeah, we should get them all up our fucking arm.
Just, like, one after every breakup.
Yeah, right? Tattoos are something that, like, I gravitated towards, too.
Yeah,
it's
another
thing. I've realized that it's something that's a very, like, coping type of pain. Like, hey, I just went through this situation and it really fucking bothered me.
And I would like to get a tattoo.
And I would like to fucking, remind myself of what I was in when I got this kind of thing. So it became, however, though, I'll always be, it's not something where I'm like, I'll go just get like a random tattoo. It's always something that I like thought about like getting at some point. I'm like, I'm gonna
like
do
they
this
have
now.
meaning and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like the meaning, or like it's something. It's like a roadmap of my life. Like this is something that like I want, that I remember where I came from. Like 90% of my tattoos have the same type of meaning. It's happy, sad, comedy, drama, tragedy.
Yeah, same.
So,
or just had a best friend who worked at a tattoo parlor in
those are the
Hollywood.
most fun ones.
Yeah. Well, now my best friend, she actually does tattoos, and now I have a nutsack tattooed on my thumb. So when we shake hands, it's a full dick.
I saw it. I love it, though.
Yeah. No, it's a great tattoo, but at the same time, I'm like, I have balls tattooed on my thumb.
I have a tattoo on my middle finger that says, always be delicious.
I love that. Is that the thing?
No, it's not. It was like a way of life for me and my friends when we were younger.
I like that. I have the acronym for shut the fuck up.
See? Just something fun. Like the ones that are weird are like the most fun, right?
Yeah, I've never, because I saw one girl, she had like the and I thought that was really cute, but I'm cool. Like, I'm not a kind of girl.
You're like a shut the fuck up.
I'm like a shut the fuck up kind of girl, so yeah, I got
I like that better.
Way
like
better,
that.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be tailored to you.
Yeah, that's another thing, yeah.
I couldn't stand people that went and got tattoos that were like trendy, Like
my LA doctors.
I think we all have one.
If you lived in LA...
We all have one, right?
Do you?
The trendy tattoo?
Well, I also have the Brewers and the Mets, so it was like... It went along with something, but yeah, I ended up getting my LA tattoo. I think I only lived in LA for maybe 6 months. It was because one of my best friends, he was the manager of a tattoo shop, and he has the exact same tattoos. They're on different ankles though, but I was like, yeah, let's get it. I'll get the Brewers, and then some guy I was working with, he's like, you lived here 6 months and you already have the Dodgers. And I'm like, but I also have the Brewers. It's not, and then he ripped me apart. It was hilarious.
I lived in LA for 2 years too.
And did you get the LA Dodgers?
No.
Oh,
I thought about it.
Of course you did.
I thought about it at one time. I was like, I'll just get a t-shirt. I'll just have a t-shirt.
Not smart.
The best drugs were in LA though.
I never did cocaine. I did cocaine like twice when I lived in LA because I didn't want to be that porn star that was all fucked up on drugs. Like I drank and stuff, but I was really like conscious. Like I didn't start really doing cocaine again until I moved to New York and started doing comedy.
Welcome to New York.
Like welcome to New
back.
York. And it is that like that's the thing that I have a lot of issues with is cocaine. So like I'm always
it's an easy one to
fall, especially in comedy. Yeah. I'm like maybe once a month now. I'm like that's what I give myself. Just because I'm like, I don't know. Because it's around all the time. And the way my brain is, and some of my fucking friends, I'm like, fuck.
People, places, and things. That's exactly what we're talking about. That's the first thing they tell you in rehab. People, places and things. Change it. And that's what's so hard for everybody. Mm-hmm. And it's understandable why it's hard for everybody. I mean, I have people reach out to me all the time being like, hey, listen, I got do you think, and should I this? And I'm like, hey, if you're reaching out to somebody that you know is sober and you think that you have an issue, you have a problem. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying it's like on a certain level, but I always tell people there's like levels to this shit. You know what I mean? Like you can start off this way and then you start to like be in a pattern, then the next level is this, then you get fired from your job, then you're fucking, because I tell people...
Then you're sucking dick on the corner.
Yeah, the guy that's living under a bridge, homeless, like that's not where he started his life. At one point he had a career,
Family,
he was loved, like, but that's the... that might not even be the end point for that, but death is the end point, and or jail.
Yeah.
And I tell people, like, if you're reaching out, that I'll tell. I used to want to be Superman. I used to want to help everybody and be like, this is what you got to do. This will work for me. But not everybody's different, you know. And I tell people, reach out to someone that you can talk to. Say, hey, do you have health insurance? And if they do, I say, look for a therapist and try and start to see a therapist. And the first thing that I hear from people, like, well, will I have to stop drinking? And I'm like, listen, you gotta take baby steps. Like, putting pressure on yourself like that, like, oh my God, because it's the lifestyle change. Like,
that's the hardest part.
I don't want to change the people I know. I don't want to change the people I hang out with. And I tell people all the time, like, listen, like, don't concern yourself with that so much right now, because if they're your friends, they'll understand.
Yeah, if they're really meant to.
And that's the thing. Like, I mean, I look back on the people I was hanging out with back then, and like 90% of those people weren't friends.
Oh yeah, they were just like the acquaintances or drug friends. I just called them my drug buddies because that's all we did together, and we had so much fun when we did drugs together.
It's better having drug friends when you're sober, though.
Yeah,
I have a lot of them now. Like, I have a lot of guys that I'm friends with that are drug addicts, and I'm like, I love these guys.
Yeah.
I'm like, how fucked up are you right now? Like, I want to know, like, Yeah. So it's kind of...
Do you ever, like, try to, like, live vicariously through them, maybe?
I get... It's like, when I see somebody hammered, or a certain level of drunk, like, it's funny because everyone's like, how do you deal with this shit? How do you sit around people that are all fucked up? And I'm like, well, to be honest with you, at the end of my fucking drug-using life, like, when I was, like, in the, heart of it, I didn't want to be around these fucking type of people anyways because they were annoying to me then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, so now it's just like, I see, like, I leave after I do my shows and stuff like that, and like, people, your patience level maybe gets a little bit, like, thinner.
I get that, yeah.
But, like, I think that, I don't know, I don't live vicariously through it. Like, I cannot be around somebody that's nodding off on.
Yeah, that bugs me, even sober or fucked up. I'm like, you're not...
Yeah, I've seen some people OD down in the village, down there, like,
over
the summer, and I know that's what they're fucked up on, and it's hard for me to watch that, because I was there.
Yeah.
There's certain movies I can't watch. I remember, like, it was, summertime? It was like, this past summer, it was like 90-degree day, and some dude was, like, fucking nodding off in the corner, like, right next to the pair. And I was like, someone's got to watch the door. I just didn't want to watch that.
Yeah, you could.
Because I could just tell. I know you remember how that felt. You remember all that stuff. Then he was going to try and talk to me after. I was like, dude,
don't. There was do you remember Blinky?
Yeah.
He used to twerk for
$1. Yeah.
He's actually clean now.
Good for him. I was just asking about him the other day, too.
He was on my podcast. I had him on here.
Really?
Yeah, he lives in Ohio. He's got a girlfriend. He's got a job.
Wow.
Yeah, he's doing great. I miss people so much during quarantine that I friend requested, like, I added a bunch of people to my Facebook page, and he was one of them.
Yeah, I remember he sent me a friend request, and I was like, this is crazy that there's this homeless guy has Facebook, like, because he was always down in the village, and like we would talk, and he was like, back to my point, like, somewhere they have a past.
Yeah,
not everyone's just born a homeless person, you know what I'm saying, or born an addict.
No, he chose that lifestyle. You
chose it. You choose it. You it is a mental health disease at some level where you can't help
family,
whatever brought him to that point. But that's great to know that he's doing well. Because I was actually just talking to his friend. Remember his friend that is in the wheelchair? He has the tattoos on his face?
Yes, he wasn't always in a wheelchair. I forgot his name too, but he had the dog.
His dog died.
Oh, yeah, because I haven't really been in the village that much. And then, I saw him the other night in a wheelchair and stuff like that. He just knows me. Like, I always give him, like, $5-10 whenever I see him.
He inspired one of my tattoos.
Really?
Because I was talking to him about something that I wanted to get, and he's like, oh, like this? And he showed me something, and I was like, not like that, but not that, but like, yes, that idea.
Yeah.
That design and everything like that. And it was this one.
Oh, the tattered heart.
Yeah.
I have that, something similar on the inside of my arm.
So, I was really impressed when he showed me that work, because I was like, wow, that's really like, he had something. He didn't have that, like the knife of the heart or anything, but he had scissors, and it was like around like a colored version of the heart. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And he's like, yeah, this. And so
nice. Like, mine's like, I'll show you, but it's like a cartoon kind of heart. I got my idea from an Incubus music video where it was like a pounding heart, and it had like stakes or something through it. And I'm like, that would be a cool tattoo. And my buddy Nick, he's like, yeah, on the inside of your left arm. And then I got it. That's how sometimes tattoos, that's how they come about. How the ideas come about. So where can people find you online, social medias and stuff?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram more often than anything. It's at Brandon Trusso, and then my Twitter is at Brandon Trusso, and then my Facebook is Brandon Trusso. I'd like to keep it simple.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
You know, and then
it's good that you got to have all of those as well. Or you didn't need the Brandon Trusso like I have to have on it.
Brandon Trusso. I hate if there was an underscore that needed to happen. I would be furious.
Oh god, yeah, I had to do that for my first Twitter account because there's like cyber squatters. So like they'll take like handles. So Adalia Janine on Twitter is totally gone, and then the Instagram I used to have it, but then when I closed down that account, like I can't get it anymore. So now it's Janine. Yeah, no, it's pain in the ass. So, on Instagram, you're always at the Pair, right?
Always at the Pair. I run the Tuesday 8 p.m., the Wednesday midnight shows there. It's like the Lights Out Comedy Showcase.
Nice, very fun.
We have to get you on one soon.
Very excited. Yeah, I'll be back at the Pair in March. Kenny apologized.
That's good. I'm glad you're back.
He apologized. He wanted to. It was a mutual apology. You can find this wonderful podcast, obviously, where you can find podcasts. Apple, Spotify, iTunes, and Apple are the same thing. iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon, obviously. Twitter and Instagram at How to Do Drugs Pod. You can find me, the Aaliyah Janine, on Twitter, and Aaliyah.Janine on Instagram. And I have, I'm having Jawbreakers, me and Jack Stello, so we're having Jawbreakers come back at the Stand starting in April. We finally got like a set date, so it's going to be, because after quarantine, like the dates have been like all over, so it's going to be the second Saturday of the month midnight show. Very excited about that. And then also starting in April with Chanel Omari at the Comedy Shop, it's going to be Zodiac Killers.
Look at that.
So every month for Zodiac Killers. So April we're starting, and that will be Aries. All comics who are Aries. Are you an Aries?
No.
What are you?
Libra.
So you're October.
Yeah.
All right.
October 1st.
All right, we'll get you on in October then.
Hell yeah.
Zodiac Killers. All right. That's it. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.